Version 5.7 banners are officially revealed, and they are stacked. In the first half, we've got the long-awaited Cryo DPS, Skirk, alongside Shenhe. And in the second half, we've got the return of the Pyro Archon, Mavuika, alongside Emilie. In this quick guide, we'll break down what each character do, the best build, teams, early constellations compared to their signatures, and at the end, we'll go over who should you prioritize pulling for your account. So don't miss out. Hello, welcome to Genshin Filter, your quick guide for everything Genshin. So let's get started! First up, we've got the new character Skirk, a Cryo sword user main DPS, who's the second character after Mavuika who doesn't use energy for her burst. Instead, she builds Serpent Subtlety points to fuel her burst and special skill stance mode. Tapping her skill puts her into 7-pass flash mode, infusing her attacks with Cryo. While holding, it grants subtlety points for quick swap burst playstyle and improves her exploration movement. Her bursts have two versions, a standard AoE Cryo attack burst and a special burst in her skill stance. Powered up by absorbing Void Rift, triggered from Cryo reactions. She also buffs herself and the team if you are running only Cryo and Hydro characters, making freeze and mono Cryo comps ideal for her. As for her build, her signature weapon Azure Light is her best in slot, but you can also go for any offensive crit sword you have. For free-to-play, Calamity of Eshu is great if you have a shield, and Finale of the Deep is also a nice option. For artifacts, a great option is the 4-piece Finale of the Deep Galeris, or Marushase Hunter if you pair her with Furina, and give her standard Cryo main DPS stats. Her best team will be Freeze with Escoffier and Furina. Not using them will dramatically affect the damage Skox will do. For the last slot, you can use any of the strong Cryo and Hydro supports, like Shenhe, Mona, Yelan and Chincho. She can also walk in a quick swap double carry teams with Nuvilette or Ayaka, but we will have to test this team out to see how competitive they are. So make sure you subscribe to get notified when a full guide is out. As for her constellations, her C1 summons Crystal Blades that deals crowd damage when absorbing Void Rifts, and her C2 greatly boosts her burst and skill state damage. If you are willing to go all the way to C2, it's better than a signature weapon. But if not, both her C1 and signature are solid. So pick based on the 4 stars or if you need the other weapon on the banner. Next up, we've got Shenhe, a Cryo pull-up user support who greatly boosts your team's crowd damage. Her skill gives each teammate a limited amount of attacks that will have their crowd damage boosted. You can both tap or hold it to change the amount of hits that get buffed, and you will use the tap or hold depending on your rotation timing or the playstyle of the carry. Her burst deals good AoE cryo damage, shreds enemies' cryo and physical resistance, and buffs cryo damage for the team. As for her build, her signature weapon Calamity Queller is a good option, but the Favonius Lance sometimes considered better to support her and the team's energy needs. Otherwise, you can also go for any offensive or ER pull-up that gives good attack. For her artifacts, go for the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige to buff the team, with full attack percent focus stats. Her best team will be Freeze with Skirk, Escoffier and Furina. She obviously also works great with any Cryo DPS, like Ayaka, Risley and Ganyu. As for constellations, her C1 gives an extra skill charge for better uptime and energy, and her C2 increases the team's cryo crit damage and burst uptime. She works great at C0 and her signature is not that necessary, but if you want to invest in her, a C1 is really nice for a better uptime on her buff, and C2 can also be nice if you want to go that far. Up next, we've got Mavuika, the Pyro Archon who is a Clemo user still holding the title as the strongest DPS in the game. Her playstyle revolves around using Natlan characters to consume their Night Soul points, to build fighting spirits on Mavuika that fuels her strong burst. Tapping her skill makes her do off-field AoE pyro attacks that do good damage. Holding it makes her ride her motorcycle, and infuse her normal charge and plunge attacks with Pyro, as well as improve her exploration movement. After collecting at least 50% fighting spirit, she can unleash her burst, which does an insanely strong initial attack, and then puts her into an enhanced motorcycle state that infuses her normal charge and plunge attacks with Pyro. The burst will also buff the attack of the active character. As for her build, her signature 1000 Blazing Suns is her best in slot, but you can also go for any other offensive crit claimer you have. For free-to-play, Tidal Shadow, Mailed Flower and Earthshaker are great options. For artifacts, the 4-piece Obsidian Codex is the best options, with the standard Pyro main DPS stats. Her best team will include Citlali, Bennett and Shilonen to take advantage of her great synergy in reactions teams, and a team that reliably fuels her fighting spirit. You can also use Furina, Yensan and Cheverus team for great damage. She can also be used as a great sub DPS, using her skill and burst in quick swap to do great damage in most teams. As for constellations, her C1 gives her attack and makes her less reliant on Natlan characters to fuel her burst, and her C2 significantly increases her attack and decreases opponent defense. She already holds a place as the best DPS in the game at C0. But if you do want to invest in her further, her C1 and 2 will give you a very big boost in damage, as well as a weapon, which is considered the best offensive claymore in the game. So it honestly comes down to the 4 stars or if you need the other weapon on the banner. Next up, we've got Emilie, a Dendro Pull-Arm user sub-DPS who were designed to work in burning teams, and buffs her own raw damage, not just the burning reaction. Her skill creates a lamp that hits off-field Dendro damage, that does amazing damage once the burning reaction is triggered, and also reduces the team's resistance to Pyro damage as you are bound to get self-burned. Her burst deals AoE Dendro damage and resummons the lamp, as if casting a skill again. As for her build, her signature Lumidius Elegy is her best in slot, but she also works great with any offensive crit pull-arm you have. For free-to-play, the Missive Wind Spear is a great option if you got it from the event. For artifacts, the 4-piece Unfinished Reverie is her best in slot, with the standard Dendro sub-DPS stats. Her best team will be with Kinich, Mavuika and Bennett, as Kinich is all about abusing the burning reaction himself, making them an amazing pair. You can also use her in other reaction teams like Burn Melt or Burgeon. As for constellations, her C1 increases her damage and adds additional hits, and her C2 decreases enemy Dendro res by 30%. She works great at C0, but if you really want to invest in her and you are willing to go all the way to C2, it is better than a signature weapon. But if not, then it will be better to pick based on the 4 stars or if you need the other weapon on the banner. As I said before, choosing the right characters comes down to 2 things: who you like and which characters you already have. If you don't have the right teammates, even strong characters can feel bad to play, so I recommend checking your roster before pulling. So, who should you pull? First up is easily Mavuika, as she's just the best at everything she does. She's still the strongest main DPS in the game. She's an amazing Pyro sub-DPS, and while she doesn't apply as much Pyro as Xiangling, her damage even as a sub-DPS often outshines the main DPS on the team. She has the best claymore in the game, and hands down has the best exploration ability with a cool motorcycle. Her only real drawback is needing Setlali to reach her max potential, and Atlan teammates in general to reliably fuel her burst, though C1 reduces this need if you are willing to invest in her. But even without this optimized setup, she is still an incredibly powerful and versatile character. Next is Skirk, who seems to be one of the top main DPSs in the game. The downside is she's limited to freeze teams and very expensive, needing both Escoffier and Furina to really shine, as without them her damage will drop hard. But at today's Genshin, being the best at one thing is more valuable than being average at many. So if you got the right support, she's a great choice. And also look incredible if I might add. Then we have Shenhe. With freeze back in the meta thanks to Escoffier, Shenhe, being a top tier cryo buffer for carries like Ayaka, Wriothesley and Skirk, makes her very relevant in today's meta. The problem is that her buff don't work perfectly with every cryo DPS, as her quills don't synergize perfectly with characters who can't swap off to refresh it like Skirk. And her being so old does have its risk with Hoyoverse, who might introduce a new cryo buffer to power creep her. But right now she's still one of the best support options for top cryo DPSs. And last we have Emilie. She's a very strong option for teams who trigger the burning reaction, and with Kinich she can deliver some of the highest off-field damage in the game. The problem is that burning is still niche, and outside Kinich she is rarely the best for any team. Unlike Skirk who needs Escoffier to be strong, Kinich doesn't really need Emilie. They just synergize very well. So if you like her or have Kinich, she's still a great pick. Otherwise I suggest pulling for the more recommended option on these banners, or saving up your wishes. And that's a wrap. If this video helped you in any way, consider giving it a like and subscribe for more filter guides. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!